We are coming to the end of the PDC World Darts Championship. Any excuse then to wear this bucket hat for a couple more days. But of course, you know what's going to happen. Once the Darts World Championship ends, all the talks about the Premier League of darts. Yes, it's such a shame that when we get to this tournament, the biggest tournament of the year, the Premier League seems to take over, players getting into certain position. And the first question is, do you think you'd be in the Premier League? Do you want to be in the Premier League? And it causes such a stir, essentially. And that's because it's 17 weeks. 17 weeks, a third of the year this tournament takes up. So you see these players very often, you get invited to World Series and all these other events. So I am going to give today my predictions based on what's happened so far in the World Championship. When I'm filming this, essentially we've just had the first two quarterfinals. We've just had Ryan Searle beat Johnny Clayton. We've just had Gary Anderson beat Justin Hood. But at this stage of the tournament now, critical stages, a lot of these players might be in it already anyway, and I want to give my thoughts at this stage of who I would pick. And I think, let's be honest, if it's 8 players still, which it's planning to be this year, someone's going to be unhappy. It's an impossible choice to pick. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the ones that I think are definitely in, so maybe the top 4. I think we should start with players that I think are definitely out, some that I think could get in still, maybe, very much a maybe, and then the remaining 4 players that I would actually pick based on what I think is going to happen in the rest of this tournament. Okay, so let's start with the definites here. The top 4 in the Premier League, or the top 4 in the world that are always guaranteed to be in the Premier League of darts. I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's a rule that's going to stay. I hope it's not, because I think particularly now with the World Championship, the rankings as they are, they're so weighted that if you win the world, you could be the world number 100 and something, and you're just going to be in the top 4 automatically. So they're going to have to look at that in the future, I think. But I think we're going to have to go on the assumption that it's still going to be the top 4. And in that case, don't think there's going to be anything too controversial there. Luke Littler would be in it, whatever. He is the world number 1. Of course, that might change if Luke Humphries becomes world champion, but he's guaranteed to be in the Premier League, whatever. Darts, even if Luke Littler was probably 20th, is going to be in it because he is the star. He's the reason darts has grown so much over the last few years. So Luke Littler, of course, is definitely in the Premier League. As is Luke Humphries. Luke Humphries, exactly the same as Luke Littler. The two Lukes, miles ahead of the rest, in my opinion, and they'd be in whatever. Michael Van Gerwen, look, he's still in the top 4 at the moment. I actually think if he wasn't, look, his name would probably get him in whatever. But if you look at his form this year and in the last few years, let's be honest, I know he made the world final last year. He probably isn't in the top 8 players in the world. Well, I'm pretty certain he's not in the top 8 players of the world. He certainly hasn't been this year. But of course, he will be in it. And let's be honest, we all want to see Michael Van Gerwen in the Premier League. When you go to these events, he's the big name. And then I think, just because I don't think he's going to beat Luke Humphries tonight, Jan Van Veen's not going to be in the top 4, so Johnny Clayton will stay in the top 4. I don't think Gary Anderson, he can still do it. Obviously, Ryan Searle can still do it, but I'm just going to go on the assumption at the moment Johnny Clayton is still going to be in the top 4, and for that reason, he will be in the Premier League. So now I've done the top 4 who are definitely in it. I'm going to go through the players that I think are definitely not in it, whatever happens. Now, as a darts fan, I'm really annoyed that this player isn't in it. So the first one I want to talk about, and you'll see them now all on the screen anyway, is Danny Noppert. I really wanted to see Danny Noppert in it. And to be honest with you, that game against Justin Hood in the World Championships, he averaged 102. And he's been one of the highest earners this year. I think he even went up to 6th in the world. And on his current form, he's playing the darts of his life. I would like to see him in it. I don't think he's going to, unfortunately. I think that game going out early in the World Championships is going to cost him a lot. And I do think as well, he hasn't made a major TV final. He's made a couple of semi-finals lately, and he's done really well in those. But not making a major final, there might just be that feeling he hasn't got over the hurdle. But I think the main reason, and obviously I don't want to give any spoilers away, but we know Jan Van Veen is going to be in it, and Michael Van Gerwen is going to be in it. And I think if they're staying with 8 players, I just don't think they're going to have 3 Dutchmen. And harsh as that sounds, they can justify the fact he hasn't made a major final this year. I just think he's going to miss out for that reason. He's playing the darts of his life. I would like to see him in it. I think he's starting to show a little bit more personality, which some people said might affect his position. I think he's very entertaining. That game against Justin Hood, if we're just talking purely on darts, that was one of the best games I've ever seen, particularly over a best of 5 format. So Danny Noppert's going to miss out for me. And then the other 3 were just 3 players that were in the Premier League last year who haven't done enough. But Rob Cross played amazing against Luke Littler, but over the course of this year, he's not delivered. I know he's had a few issues off the oche. Um, I think he needs a year out. I think he needs a year out, get his form back. He's still a player on his day that I think is very dangerous. And on his day, he would be in the top 8 for me. He would be in the Premier League. But he never does that well in this format. And I think that short format doesn't really suit him. I think he's a player that takes a little bit of time to get going. He's not a quick rhythmic player. He's not going to blow anyone away in that sense. So Rob Cross is not in for me, and I don't think that's a bad thing anyway. He has said in the past he doesn't want to be in it. He's changed his mind. I don't think this is going to be a difficult decision not to put him in, especially now he's outside the top 16. Christobi, exactly the same. Hasn't played that well this year for me. That disappointed in the Worlds. I think people thought Andrew Gilding would be a tough game. And that's what it proved. It proved a really tough game, and he wasn't overly impressive in his first round match either. So, yeah, that's not a difficult one either for me. Christobi not in it, and I think for me, he's done really. He's got a really decent A game. His B game isn't too far away from that, but he hasn't got that top level. I don't think of him as a real elite player. I think he's a very good player, just that level below. And then Stephen Bunting. Look, Stephen Bunting's gained popularity on social media in recent times. I think he's not covered himself in glory with some of his comments in this tournament, and he has not played that well for a while either. In the match play, I remember him beating Gary Anderson. I think he lost to James Wade, and then he hasn't really done that well for the rest of the year. You know, he lost to Toilo in the Grand Slam of Darts, didn't get out of a group, which was a pretty winnable group. He had Martin Schindler, and he had Luke Woodhouse as well. And I know there's a few issues with his back. He's been injured. He's not been well recently. I think he's overachieved in recent years, that he's a very good floor player, very good floor player. His TV game's improved. But a little bit like Chris Dobey for me, I think he's got a good level, consistent level. B game's very close to his A game, but that elite level, I don't think it's good enough. And we saw that with both players last year in the World Championship semi-finals. I just don't think they're quite at that elite standard. And yes, he's popular. I think if he gets in, I hate to say it, but I think it's more to do with the walk-on than anything else. So I don't think he gets in. I think he needs to break away anyway. I think he needs to get maybe away from the social media stuff, and I think actually it'd be more protecting of him if they don't put him in this year. So yeah, now we're going to go on to the players that might be the disruptors of the ones that I've actually picked, the other four. So yes, essentially I've put a question mark by these players. Now there's three players I've put in here. Now I did actually write earlier on my posting notes Justin Hood, but obviously since I did this, he's gone out. He literally went out about an hour and a half ago to Gary Anderson. So he had to make the final for me to get in it. And I think that's probably the same when I look at this list. Well, one of them definitely might be more a case of him turning it down. But the one player that I think still a maybe is Nathan Aspinall. Now, he is already out of this tournament. But Aspinall, you know what you're going to get. And I said a little bit like Stephen Bunting, the walk-on's a big thing. He's a very popular player, Nathan Aspinall. He makes no secret of wanting to be in the Premier League. And he's had a good year. His ranking isn't as high as probably what it should be, purely on the fact that he was defending the world match play money from a couple of years ago. He dropped, but he has been working his way back up. And I'm absolutely certain by the end of 2026, he's going to be back in the top eight. And I think he'll be back in the Premier League if he keeps this form up. I believe they said he's made 8 major finals. He obviously made the Players' Championship final at the end of the year, losing to Luke Littler. And he wasn't terrible against Kevin Dukes. He wasn't at his best. But I think the fact he didn't get out of this Grand Slam group against Michael Smith, for example, I know Luke Humphries was in that one as well. I just think he's not done enough. I think last year he was lucky to get in my opinion. And I think this year, maybe it'd be fair to say you had your go last year. We think you just need another year on tour. Use that as motivation. And for me, I personally think it's a question mark only because I think they might pick him for the walk-on and the entertainment factor. And he's reliable. There's no choice about it. He made the semis last year. He deserved to be in it. Proved people wrong. But for me, I wouldn't put him in it. But as a question mark just because of that popularity element. And he is playing okay. The other one, Brian Searle. Ryan Searle is still in the tournament. He is the world number 7 now provisionally. Could go even higher if he beats Luke Littler. The crowd are going to be on his side in that game. I say Luke Littler could be retired ski, of course, as well. I don't think he's going to be in it, but I think if he makes the final, you cannot deny it. He might even be in the, I think he is in the top 4 if he makes the final, and he's playing really good stuff. Over the course of the year, though, he hasn't done enough. If we're being honest, at the start of this tournament, I think people saw there was a chance because he's been playing quite well recently, but over the year as a whole, he hasn't. And it's just that fact the World Championship's so weighted in prize money that he's even in the debate for me. But he's playing really well. I really like him. I think he's a good watch, and there's a definite top A game there. It's just his B game lets him down, but it hasn't in this tournament. His finish has been fantastic, and I said he could potentially cause a big upset in the semi-finals, and for that, then he gets in the Premier League. I think he downplays himself. I think he says that he doesn't care. I think he does care a lot more than he lets on. And then the final one, I think this is up to him, Gary Anderson. I think if Gary Anderson said he wanted to be in it, he would be in it. He'd be certainly in the place of one of the other players I've picked. It's just whether he wants to be in it. Again, maybe if he makes a certain stage, he's going to be in the top 4 potentially. and he might just look at it and think, I've earned a lot now from this. I don't need to do all the Euro tours and everything. I can just have a year in the Premier League and just not do those things. He'll automatically qualify for a lot of things because he's in the top 16. So I think it's up to Gary Anderson with that one. So that's why I put the question mark there. I don't think he'll win the semi-final against Humphries or Van Veen anyway. And I think that'll be enough for the PDC not to worry too much because there's so many other options. So the last one, the 4 players that I think they'll pick as the wildcards. So as of 4:16 p.m. on January the 1st, 2026, my 4 wildcards would be this. Gerwyn Price. Oh, I think he deserves it. I don't. I actually wouldn't put Gerwyn Price in. This is what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to put Gerwyn Price in for one main reason. He's very popular. And I think if results go a certain way, they don't really want 2 Welshmen in it. They'd rather have him than Johnny Clayton. But I think if they have to have Clayton in because he's in the top 4, I just think Gerwyn Price's box office. He's been one of the better players this year statistically. Look, again, a little bit like Danny Noppert. It's just not materialised into results. I don't know if he's even made the major final this year, Gerwyn Price. But he's got the game. We know he's got the game. He should have beaten Littler plenty of times this year, and he's actually just blown it in major tournaments. Statistically, as I said, I think he was 5th highest in the rankings this year in terms of prize money won before this tournament started. So obviously, that's going to drop with the weight of this. But averages wise, he's still up there. And he is popular. He's growing in popularity, and they do need some box office element. If I'm saying that Bunting's popular for his walk-on, Aspinall's popular for his walk-on, and they're not in it, I think you need someone like a Gerwyn Price. So he's going in for me. Jan van Veen, he's in. I'm just going to say that now. He's in. He's been playing really well. He's obviously won a major this year, and he's still in the World Championships as I record this. So he's definitely in. He's world number 5. Goes any further, he's top 4 anyway, but he's in. These are the 2 that I think are going to be difficult. I'm putting Josh Rock in. I think Josh Rock deserves it this year. Look, he's not been the best results lately, but he didn't play badly against Justin Hood. Justin Hood just had a finishing masterclass. And look, I know the World Cup is a pairs tournament and it's not seeded, it's not ranked, I should say. He was the best player on that weekend. He was fantastic. And even that match play semi-final where he lost to Luke Littler in the end, he was amazing. Luke Littler just pulled everything out. I don't think Josh Rock dropped off. Obviously, the perfect leg of darts we had in that. Josh Rock deserves it for me. He's a good, again, I don't want to sort of nationalities matter, but having a Northern Irishman in it is good. It just adds a little bit more of a mix to things. And he's just a young player that's a very exciting player. And I feel like he's one of those in this who can play at his best game and give Littler and Humphries a game, certainly over a Premier League format. Luke Littler and Luke Humphries could lose to Josh Rock in a 1st to 6 game, and they could play their A game. And that's how good he is. He is a top player, and he's shown that in this world. Just unfortunately, he ran into Justin Hood, who's just been unbelievable in this tournament. And then the last one, this is the controversial one. This is the one that I don't think will be in it, really, but I'll put him in it just because, again, when I have to justify why he's in it, I think his justification is over the others. James Wade, as you've seen in the picture, James Wade. Now, he's made 2 major finals this year. He made the UK Open final, he made the World Match Play final. And yes, it's tailed off a little bit at the end of this year. I appreciate it has, and he never does well at the World Championship. But again, like Gerwyn Price, he's one of the highest earners. And when I talk about those players that are in that question mark zone, the Nathan Aspinalls, the Gary Andersons, I think Gary Anderson would be in over Wade, personally, if he wanted it. I don't know how you can justify Aspinall over him. I really don't know how you could justify Aspinall over James Wade. He's made 2 major finals. Aspinall's made 1. Wade's higher in the rankings. He's earned more money this year. There's no metric other than the fact if the PDC purely just want to say we think Aspinall's better entertainment, that's subjective. I personally would rather watch James Wade. He's got the name profile. You can't say James Wade isn't known in darts, and even in like the mainstream people who may go to the Premier League, they will recognise James Wade. Is he the best person in terms of speaking to the media? Is he the best person over a short format? He's probably not as good as Nathan Aspinall, but I think he deserves it. I think he brings a little bit of prestige to it, which you lose when you lose a world champion like Rob Cross, which they lost obviously with Peter Wright. Yes, James Wade, not obviously a world champion, but I think he's the 3rd or 4th most successful in PDC history. He is an unbelievable player, and for that reason, I think he deserves to go. He wasn't that poor in the Worlds. He hasn't been that poor lately. I just think he deserves another go. Just give him another go. That's me probably being a little bit biased, but he's my era, and I really still think he's a top player. On his day, he's a better player than Aspinall. On his day, he's better than the Searles. He's not maybe better than Anderson, but again, that's going to come down to Gary Anderson. So just going to quickly rattle off the players I went for. So, okay, here we go. Nice and quick because I know I've waffled on for ages. My Premier League lineup for 2026, based on where we are at this stage of the tournament now, the quarterfinals. We've got 2 more games to go, 6 players remain. So, number 1, Luke Littler. Number 2, Luke Humphreys. Number 3, Michael Van Gerwen. Number 4, Johnny Clayton. Number 5, Gerwin Price. 6, Van Veen. 7, Josh Rock. And 8, the machine, James Wade. If that's the Premier League lineup, I'd be very happy with it. That being said, I'd also be more than happy to see a Searle, an Anderson, a Danny Noppert in it. I think that would just be good. Freshen it up. This is a really, really long slog. Let's be honest. I think we all get a bit sick of the Premier League, and that just needs something fresh. If they're going to keep the same format, let's get some different faces and let's make it a really good tournament where we've got some players from the past and some that are really playing well, and they're the future of darts. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what players you think should be in the Premier League and what, if you agree or disagree with any of mine. I'm sure plenty of you will disagree, but that's what it's all about. It brings up a lot of opinion in the Premier League, but it's all about the world. We still got to remember the world should be the priority for any player, not the Premier League. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the darts. See you soon.